All right, good morning, wonderful, fantastic leaders. This is Miss Anawa, and you will be learning at your seats today. Miss Bree is going to be coming around and checking your notes in your notebook. So right now, your notebook should be out and open in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You should be giving Miss Bree a thumb that your notebook is already out. 2, and 1. Miss Bree is going to be checking your notes because tomorrow you will be at that teacher table with me. So I will be checking to see if your notes are done in your notebook. Clear? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is open up to a first page, which you should already be at. And we are going to write this title right here. Angles and protractors. You have 30 seconds. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19. Give Miss Bria a thumb when you are done. 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm at 2. Your pencil goes down and I am at 1. All right. So we have angles and protractors at the top of our page. And today, our goal is to really understand each one of our angles before we go into understanding our protractors, okay? All right, so the second thing you're gonna do, you're gonna write angles right underneath where you wrote protractors. So if this was my book, the first line should be angles and protractors. The second line should just say angles. You are writing angles now. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Your pencils are down. Okay, so we're going to go over some of our angles. We have such things as straight angles, and a straight angle goes all the way out. These are straight angles. They're exactly 180 degrees, no more and no less. So a straight angle only has 1 degree, which is 180. You are picking up your pencil now, and you are writing, give me a second. You are writing what is in this box. Give me 1 second. Okay, you are writing what's in this red box. Well, let me make the line a little thicker. All right, whatever's in this red box, you are writing. So write straight angles, 180 degrees, write the definition, and then write some examples of straight angles. Okay, you have 30 seconds. My bad. You have a minute to write these things that is in the red box. Go. Remember, Miss Bree is coming around and she's checking your work to see if you are doing it correctly. Because when I come tomorrow, I want to see your notes. These notes are very important for you to take because it's going to help us when we do our protractors. Okay, I'm going to give you about 20 more seconds. 19 more seconds. 12 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Now, right underneath that, I want you to go ahead and write what is a right angle. So similar to a straight angle, right? A straight angle is only 180 degrees. A right angle is only 90 degrees. No more, no less. All right, go ahead and write that down. Remember, Miss Bree is coming around to check your work. So everything I say in this video, you should have written down. Gonna give you about 40 more seconds to get that down. If you're already done, give Miss Bree a thumb. She's coming around to give you a check. Okay, you got about 30 more seconds. 20 more seconds. 10 more seconds. Okay, right angle is pretty easy, so I'm going to pause you there. All right, the next one that we really need to know is an acute angle. Everybody say acute angle. All right, so an acute angle goes from 1 to 89 degrees. It is smaller than a right angle. It is smaller than a right angle because it stops at 89. If it went to 90, then it will be a right angle. But it's an acute because it goes from 1 to 89. That means any numbers in between 1 and 89 is going to be an acute angle. For example, if I said an angle that was, hold on, friends. If I said an angle that was 16 degrees, that will be an acute angle because it's between 1 and 89. If I said an angle that was 79 degrees, that still would be an acute angle because it's in between 1 to 89. Even if I said an angle that was 89 degrees, that still would be acute because it goes from 1 to 89. So these are all acute angles. I'm going to be quizzing you guys on this tomorrow. So make sure that you are paying attention because I know that you can do it and I know that you can really focus your brain. So make sure you're paying attention to this video because I'm going to be quizzing you on these things tomorrow. Okay. All right. You have, how do I get this off, guys? I don't know. All right, you have 30 seconds to go ahead and start writing down. Actually, I'll give you a minute, sorry. Start writing down acute angle from 1 to 89, smaller than 90 degrees, and go ahead and give examples. Go ahead and get started. So right now, you should be writing down acute angles with the degrees. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Should be giving Miss Bree a thumb so she knows that you're done to give you a check. 5, 4, 3. I'm at 2. Last one, 1. All right. Last one is an obtuse angle. So an obtuse angle is an angle that is between 91 to 179. It starts at 91 because it's greater than a right angle, right? So one more greater than 90 is 91. So 91 degrees to 179 degrees would be an obtuse angle. So if I had an angle that was 100 degrees, that would be obtuse. If I had an angle that was 110 degrees, that would be obtuse. If I had an angle that was 98 degrees, that would be, you guessed it, obtuse. If I had an angle 179 degrees, that would also be obtuse because it has to be in between 91 and 179. Okay, I'm going to give you the same amount of time, 30 seconds. Go ahead and start getting that down. Remember, you are only writing what is in the red box. Okay, 10. You should be giving Miss Bree a thumb if you are done. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm at 2. Now I am at 1. Go ahead and put your pencil down. And we are going to go ahead and go to the next slide, which is understanding our protractors, right? But before we understand our protractors, let's go ahead and go over this one more time. So a acute angle is in between 1 to 89 degrees. An obtuse angle is in between 91 to 179 degrees. That is very important for us for when we are determining our angles on a protractor. Okay. When we are determining our angles on a protractor, this is our CFS, our criteria for success. This is going to help us be really successful whenever we are doing our protractors, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to write down these steps in your notebook because you're going to use this for every single problem. Ready? When the timer goes off, put your pencil down, set, and go. Write it down. 58 more seconds. 50 more seconds. 40 more seconds. 30 more seconds. 20 more seconds. Remember to give Miss Bree a thumb when you are done. 15 more seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. I'm at 2. Your pencils are down, and I am at 1. All right, beautiful job. All right, so our first step says determine the angle. Does this angle look like a acute, obtuse, or a right? Well, I know that it's not a right because a right is like a perfect L and it is exactly 90 degrees. So this can't be a right angle. I know that this is not obtuse because obtuse is wide. It's big in between. So if this was an obtuse angle, the space in between here will be really big. The space in between here is kind of small, right? If we go look at our angles here, acute angles were small, obtuse angles, the space in between them were large, really big spaces in between the two arrays. So this is not an obtuse angle. This is a acute angle. I know that this is an acute angle because the space in between is very small, okay? All right, so now that I know that this is an acute angle, we have to determine if we're looking at the inside of my protractor or the outside of my protractor. And the reason why I'm thinking about that, Kasaz, is because it has two numbers here. Raise your hand, and Miss Bree is looking. Raise your hand if you see that there's two numbers here. Raise your hand if that's a little confusing. Yeah. So that's why we determine the angle first, Olivia, right? So if we know that this is an acute angle, then that means I'm looking on what side of the protractor. Well, I got to go back to my angles and see. Acute angles are from 1 to 89 degrees. Obtuse angles are from 91 to 179 degrees. Actually, let me copy this and bring this over. If I know, uh-oh, give me 1 second. All right. If I know that, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. okay? If I know that an acute angle is between 1, right here, Soraya. If I know acute angle is in between 1 to 89 degrees, and I know obtuse angles from 91 to 179 degrees, I already said that this is an acute angle, so I'm not looking right here. I'm not going to look at these angles right here, right? That's gone. So am I looking on the inside or am I looking on the outside? Well, if I looked on the outside, that will be obtuse angles, 91 to 179 degrees. Those are really big angles out here, but this is not an obtuse, so I can't look at these out here. Can't look at these angles. These I'm not looking at. Why? Why am I not looking at these angles? I'm not looking at these angles because those angles are big. Those degrees are big degrees. Those are big numbers for an obtuse angle. We already said this was an acute angle. I want you to tell Miss Bree, raise your hand and tell Miss Bree, why is Miss Anawa not looking at these outside angles? Raise your hand and tell Miss Bree one by one. Wait patiently if she's listening to another friend. Why are we not looking in this red at these outside angles? Raise your hand and tell Miss Bree. And friends, this is not a game. So if you think that this is a different way of learning, you're right. It is. Miss Anal is not in front of you, and Miss Bree is there. So she's going to listen to you and explain your learning to her so that when I get back, she'll be able to tell me if they got it or they didn't get it, if you all got it or if you didn't get it, okay? Okay, so one last time. You are explaining to Miss Bree, why are we not looking at the hundreds out here at these degrees? Go ahead and explain to Miss Bree. Raise your hand. You can pause the video. I'm going to give you about a minute to do so. You're going to pause the video because I'm going to keep teaching. All right, hopefully you have paused the video because I'm going to keep teaching. So we are not looking at the outside, at these red ones, these degrees, because we already determined this is a small angle. This is an acute angle. So that means I have to look on the inside at these smaller numbers from 1 to 89 degrees, okay? So I'm looking, first step, determine if it's acute, right, or obtuse. We already said it's acute. Second step, look on the inside or the outside. We already said we're looking on the inside, not the outside. So we're not looking at these. These ones are gone. All right. Now we are looking on the inside of our protractor. Okay. Now the other thing we have to determine, am I counting up or am I counting down? Am I counting up or am I counting down? This part is pretty easy. This part is really easy, Corey, because what it's saying is, it's saying, are you counting from 0 to 80 or are you counting from 80 to 0? Which way do we count? 0 to 80 or 80 to 0? We count from 0 to 80, right? All right, so this is in between 70 and 80. So we're counting up. But is it, when you look at this, is it directly on that 70? When you look at this, is it directly on that 70? No, it's not directly on that 70. So now that leads me to that fourth step, which is estimate if needed. So it's not directly on that 70, and I'm counting up from 70 to 80. So what is one more than 70? Because it's just like one smidget more. What is one more than 70? Hopefully you said 71. So the degree for this angle would be 71 degrees. So answer, so answer wrong. Answer is 71 degrees. Clear? All right, so we're going to go over this one last time, and then you're going to get up and do 5 jumping jacks, okay? All right, so first thing, Soraya, first thing I absolutely have to do, Kasa, is I have to determine what the angle is. So looking at this angle, the space in between it is small. It's not very big. So that means that it has to be an acute angle. If it is an acute angle, Olivia, acute angles only go from 1 to 89 degrees. So that means, Chase, that I cannot look at the outside because those numbers are too big. Those are for obtuse angles, right? So that means I'm only looking on the inside of this protractor that goes from 0 to 70 degrees to 80 degrees. But then I noticed something. I noticed something, Jaden. I noticed that it's not directly on the 71. And I also noticed that I don't know which way to count. So my next step is to see, am I counting up or am I counting down? Am I counting up or am I counting down? Okay. Hold on, friends. I have to see if I'm counting up or am I counting down. I am counting up because I count from 0 to 80 degrees, okay? So from 0 to 80 degrees, it's not directly on that 70, Jaden. So what's one more than 70? 71. All right, you are getting up and you are doing 10 jumping jacks. Ready, set, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, take a seat. Refocus your brain. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. We're going to the next one. All right. At this point, you should have this paper in front of you. Miss Bree has probably given it to you already. So go ahead and get this paper in front of you. I'm going to do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 with you. You are going to be doing numbers 5 through 10 by yourself. Again, I'm doing numbers 1 through 4. You're doing 5 through 10 by yourself, and Miss Bree will check it. We're going to go through these steps a little faster now, okay? First step, determine the angle. By looking at this space, Kasa, this space looks very big, right? In between here looks big. So could it be a right angle? No, can't be right because right is exactly 90 degrees. Could it be an acute angle? No, can't be acute because acute angles have small spaces in between. Could it be an obtuse angle? If you said yes to an obtuse angle, you are correct. It is an obtuse angle. And obtuse angles go from 91 to 179 degrees. Okay. On your paper, on number 1, I want you to put where you have space, somewhere you have space, anywhere you have space next to number 1. You might have to write small. You're going to put an O for obtuse, and then you're going to put 91 to 179. Even Miss Now had to write small symphony. So we want to make sure that we write small. All right, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Get that down. 5, 4. I'm at 3. I am at 2. And I am at 1. The next thing I want to do, Zaya, is I want to look to see if I'm counting on the inside or the outside of my protractor. We have 2 numbers that is touching, right? There's 2 numbers, Gabriel, that is touching. Will it be the 70 or will it be the 110? If you said 110, you are correct because obtuse is in between 91 and 179 degrees. But the next thing I got to do is, we already see if we counted inside or outside. Next thing I got to do is see if I'm counting up or am I counting down, Janaz? Well, do I count from 100 to 180 or do I count from 180 to 100. I count from 100 to 180. So that means, so that means that I'm counting this way. I'm looking in between 100 and 110. 100 and 110. Okay. So now I have to see what estimate can I make for this number? What is the number that's in between 100 and 110? It has to end in a 5 because it's a midpoint number. What is the number that is in between 100 and 110? If you said 105, good job. So this right here, go ahead and label that on your paper. Right here is 105. So what is the estimate that you can make that's a little bit more than 105? Okay, if you said like 108, that's good. You can put 108 as your answer. You can put 107 as your answer, or you can put 106 as your answer. Either one of those can work because it's not directly on the mark, okay? You have to estimate. All right, we're going to our next one. The next one, first step. First thing I got to do, Janaz, is I got to determine if it's acute, obtuse, or right. The space in between it is small. So that means that this is a acute. Can't be a right because that's exactly 90 degrees. Can't be obtuse because the space in between it is not big. The angles for an acute, the degrees for an acute, you're going to put A for acute. The degrees for an acute is 1 to 89 degrees. You are writing that down somewhere next to number 2. All right. So the next thing I got to do, Ashton, is I have to see if I'm looking on the inside or the outside. It's an acute angle. So can it be 150, 160, 170 degrees? No, acute angles are from 1 to 89 degrees. So it has to be these degrees, 80, 70, 60, 50, 20, 10. Now I have to see if I'm counting up or am I counting down. Do I count from 0 to 90 or 90 to 0? We count from 0 to 90. All right, so this is in between 30 and 40. What is the number that is in between 30 and 40? We're going up. So 30, 35, 40. So this is 35. Okay, remember we are counting up. So if this is 30, what is a number that we can estimate that this is if this is 30? Okay, if you said 31, that's fine. If you said 32, that's fine. If you said 33, that's fine. I wouldn't say 34 because 34 would be much closer to 35. That means that it will be a closer line. All right, last one we're doing together. And then you are doing the rest by yourself. First step, first thing I absolutely have to do, Soraya, is I want to determine the angle. Okay, so this space in between right here is big. So Brooke, that means that, can it be a right? No, can't be a right, Brooklyn. Can it be a acute, Chase? No, can't be an acute. So can it be an obtuse? Yes. What are the degrees for an obtuse? Let's see if you can think of it before I say it. What are the degrees for an obtuse? Okay, if you said obtuse is 91 to 179, you are correct. All right, great job. Now, we have to determine if we're looking on the inside or the outside of the protractor. Would I look on the inside right here? No, wouldn't make sense because that's acute degrees. I'll have to look on the outside. The next thing I want to do is see if I'm counting up or am I counting down? Counting up means, Brooklyn, am I counting 170, 180, 160, 150, or do I count 100, 110, 120, 130? I'm counting down because I count from 90 to 180. So that means that this is in between 120 and 130, okay? You can't see it, but it's directly on this middle mark right here. What is a number that's in between 120 and 130? If you said 135, let's see if that works. 110, 120, 135, 130. Did that work? No, that didn't work. So I have to erase that. We know that it has to end in a 5, but it has to be in between 120 and 135. So let's try another one. Let's see if 125 works. So you see how I'm trying numbers to see if it works? Try not to raise your hand and ask your teacher for help to find that middle number. I want you, because you are very smart, to try to think of what that middle number is by trying numbers, okay? 110, 120, 125, 130. Great job. So 125 works. So the answer for this would be 125 degrees. Put this little degree sign at the top. All right. So one last time, let's go through our steps. We have to determine the degree, what type of angle it is. Is it acute, obtuse, or right? Then that tells me what degree I'm looking at. Am I looking on the inside or am I looking on the outside? Am I counting up or am I counting down? And then I'm going to estimate my answer. All right, for the rest of the time, you are doing number 5 through 10 with Miss Bree. You're going to do it by yourself, and then Miss Bree is going to check it. Each one, raise your hand to get a check. If Miss Bree is checking somebody else, go to the next one while you are waiting for her. Again, if Miss Bree is checking someone else's and you are waiting, you are going to the next one while you wait for Miss Bree to check. Clear? Okay, I love you from the bottom of my heart. I'm coming tomorrow to check your answers, so make sure that your answers are done neatly and that you took your notes the way you were supposed to, because I'm coming tomorrow to quiz you. All right, love you lots.